Well, good greetings to everybody out there. Hope everybody is enjoying life like I am. Now, to my surprise, when I got here, I'm the tailor, she's the dressmaker, and I'm wondering what's going on.
Well, we have cluttered the workspace with some neat things that we want to show our viewers today, Mr. Jim.
Well, you're going to have to tell me about this.
I will indeed. So I think it's pretty. Here we go. We have a gown right in the middle. Let me move this box out the way, and this is pretty much kind of, I guess, our jumping off for the show today. We're going to talk about embellishments and trims and how to use them to kind of really spice up some of your sewing clothing designs.
Well. I used to do this a long time ago, and I stopped many, many years ago. So I'm kind of out of the loop on things to use, how you use them. I'm going back 20, 30 years ago when I used to make wedding gowns and all of that.
Oh, wow.
But in those days, I will honestly say a lot of what they have today, they didn't have then. So you have to tell me about this.
So I will fill you in. So this is, if you follow me on my blog, this is a wonderful wedding dress. Actually, the largest wedding dress I've ever made for a client. I made this back in 2014. This dress consisted of about 40 plus yards of fabric.
Wow.
So it's about half the length of a football field. And what you don't see is that it's really heavily bustled.
I can see
and there's
that.
tons of organza and layers, and it's really fluffy like a cloud. I'll include a link if you want to go back and read that blog post. But one of the nice highlights about this dress is the crystal detailing that I did here using Swarovski crystals, so as kind of an embellishment technique, and also adding it in the form of an illusion belt on the waistline. So this just serves as an example of how great it is if you use the right trims, right embellishments to really kind of spice up your designs.
I see you put these on by hand.
I did.
That's what I hate. That's why I stopped doing those things. Yeah.
I did indeed. And you know, it's funny because I don't think a lot of people do this kind of embellishing. A lot of people don't use crystals. They kind of shy away from it because they don't know what it entails, and they're intimidated, or they're scared it's going to take long. And the truth is, sometimes if you don't use the right techniques, yes, it can take a little bit long. But I did just come out with a training course on this. I'll put the link below this video.
Yeah.
It details everything. This can be a really quick process. It's actually really cool. You can sit in front of the TV and do it. But why not allow your dresses just to go over the top with this kind of addition? And it is a season, right? It is Easter season.
It is.
Wedding dress season. Prom season.
It sure is.
I know there's some busy sewers out there, and so if you want to, especially if you're making gowns for people, this is a great addition to not only increase a little more income in your pocket. It's a great service to offer your clients.
It is.
It really is.
Especially when they buy more of a plainer dress.
Exactly.
You embellish them for them.
That's right. That's right, and that's another service I even offer in my business. If someone wants to buy just a dress off the rack and they're looking for a little extra oomph, well, you can offer the service of adding crystals, beads, things of that nature.
Better you than me.
That's right. So it's really great. So this is just one of the dresses, but I have several other dresses, and we'll get to look at them more up close. But I want to do is just kind of get your wheels turning on how you can use trims of various types to really just kind of take your outfits up a notch. And if you were watching last week, and if you follow my blog, you notice I made the cutest little dress for my daughter for the father-daughter banquet. It turned out so lovely. And I think it was with the aid of a really cool trim that I was able to pull that off.
I see. That looks like a nice belt there, too.
Isn't it? Does it?
It is a belt, yes.
It really is.
I wouldn't mind wearing that myself.
So I ran into a problem, and I have a blog, well, I plan on posting on it. I ran into a problem. The fabric's really ornate. The fabric was great, but I felt like it was missing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't let it go. You know, that's the artist in all of us as sewers. We kind of get this hunch, something's missing. Well, this is kind of very unconventional, and as Mr. Jim stated, I'm going to put this up close so you can see it. This is literally a faux leather belting material that has 3 layers of chains running off of it. So it's really cool. It's very textured. I was a little nervous about cutting through it, hence I just created a belt out of it and actually left the back long. I didn't want to cut it down or incorporate it in the dress.
Right.
I thought it would work great like this, and it did, but it's really neat, and it's not something you would normally pair with such kind of delicate looking fabric.
It sure hit the spot there.
It did, and I think it really made the look. So that's what I wanted you to do, is just to try to think outside the box when it comes to using trims and adding them to your garments. This was added to the waistline. Now what we're going to do is inadvertently take a walk down memory lane.
Yeah.
These are some of the dresses I made my daughter for the father-daughter banquets, our church host. And this is actually all of them for like the last 6 years. So
I can see the size change.
there's a size difference. This is where we started at 3 years old. And here you can see there's a little bit of course, buttons being used. This is more of an Asian style neck. And then the piping around the interior, around the neckline, the mandarin collar, and even around the sleeves. So details like that really can make a dress pop. And I'm really appealing to you. Sorry, guys. Well, no, there's some gentlemen that probably sew for their daughters out there.
They sure do. I made my daughter's dresses when she was a little bitty baby.
That's right. You
and
did
you
that
see
for
what I do
years.
now for her.
That's right. So another way is I went to New York a few years back and picked up this fabric. I mean, at a local fabric shop.
That is nice.
It was probably $4 a yard. It's crazy cheap. And I went to M&J Trims. I think that's the name of the store. And I picked up this really pretty velvet trim, and it was kind of pleated, and I added it around the neckline.
Did you make that flower out of the same fabric?
I sure did. And then I created a flower to match. And as you can see, simple details like that really can up your dress. It's the cutest little thing. She's so little.
She's not so little, she's growing up.
Oh my gosh.
She's a big girl now.
She sure is. She sure is. And this is the next dress the following year that I made for her. Really cute fabric, kind of similar to embossed, kind of taffeta type fabric. But here I didn't go really crazy with the trim work. I did a real nice little belt there. So we just used plain velvet trim along the waistline. And then I grabbed, I think, a store-made floral pin. And I made little, now what do you call these things? Spaghetti straps.
Spaghetti straps.
That's right. I used kind of the fabric to create spaghetti looping, and I kind of create little loops that go behind the flower to add some kind of, make it a little bit more ornamented.
See how creative you guys can get?
Very
Just
creative.
takes a little imagination.
Exactly. And then here's I guess we don't have to do it close. I'm showing all the dresses now.
Go on, let them see.
This is the following year. You can tell Mom's got a little bit bigger. But for this dress, I kept it really simple. I love the design of the dress, so we did a little bit of an overlay. But as far as the trim goes, I've made a little bit bow. So just use self fabric to make the bow. And this trim actually is really neat.
It is.
It's kind of like a little fake metal with diamonds in it.
I thought it was on there, but I see the way it sits on the little...
It's just free floating right through there. So simple little additions like that just really transform your pieces. And then this was last year's dress, most of you remember well. This dress, the fabric itself was so ornate with it being a brocade. And you gotta be careful with brocade. She danced the night away, so she almost ruined the bottom, but that's the nature of brocade. You just interface to prevent that rubbing. But instead of using trim anywhere on this dress because it was so busy,
I like this.
I know.
I could make a nice vest out of this.
Well, if you were watching last week, you actually did make a vest out of a similar fabric. It was a green fabric. That's what we loved. But the trim for this was just in the shoulder straps. Really cool kind of fabric, and kind of metallic and black, and picked up the metallics in this dress. So as you can see, you can do some really, really cool stuff with trims.
Tell me something about the trims that you have there. I see you got boxes of this, and like I say, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to do this. I'll just be very honest with you there. That's why I stopped. That's why I'm glad my daughter's into tailored suits and slacks, so I could stay away from this. But when she was a child, I did some similarities. Trust me when I tell you, I was still not as creative as you are.
Well, and it's funny, I consider this creative, but I have seen people take trims and take it to another level. I've seen them splice bodices. I've seen them interweave a trim and actually create a whole nother textile. What we want you to do is just think outside the box. So we're going to dig in and let you see what's in here.
You know what I've noticed? That you guys, gals, collect a lot of stuff.
Oh my. Well, that can be true, which is hilarious though, because this weekend I actually, okay, we're gonna sidetrack a little bit. I actually cleaned out majority of my sewing closet.
You did?
I think I pulled out about 300 pounds of fabric that I'm giving away. I've revolutionized my sewing room. I love it. I'm becoming a minimalist. But anyway, but yes, when it comes to trims, I do tend to collect because I think sometimes I usually find something very interesting I can use later. So we're standing now so we can make it a little bit easier for you to see things. But these, actually this usually is just one box. I split up my trim box. This is a shelf. I have one of those three shelf carts.
Right.
It's in my closet. And actually, believe it or not, this is my only trim bucket. And this usually is in there. So that's it. It's all compacted.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I have a variety. We're going to show you some of the examples, and Mr. Jim's going to give you an idea of how men can incorporate trims into their designs. So here are just some examples out of the dresses I've shown you. You might recall this dress with the straps. This is the trim used for that. It is silver and black, kind of has like almost like a shoelace feel to it. Really neat. If you saw this kind of laying somewhere, you might not think it would work well. But what I like to encourage you to do is to bring in a swatch of fabric when you go to the fabric store.
Made nice spaghetti straps.
It really did. It's strong enough. Bring in a swatch of fabric, put your trim up against it, and kind of see how it works together. And then another trim that I already showed you that was incorporated into this dress is this trim right here. And then again, at a glance, it just looks like it's this metal trim that has little crystals on the inside, but I was able to incorporate it in the belt. And it is free flowing from the belt, so it's just added on. Yep, then you can do, I could have did a matching bracelet. So lots of great trim items. You could do strings of pearls or pearls added on. There's various elastics. We know how great laces are. This was a really cool one. It's kind of like a woven. You said this is similar to what? Kind of like a macrame.
It's like macrame.
Remember, the type of trim will actually contribute to the look you're going for in your outfit. And as I mentioned, or what I might have mentioned on my blog, I wanted to make my daughter's dress really edgy. So for me, using a faux leather with all the chaining helped kind of make this dress, give it that little edge flair to it. And then one other unique trim, because we could go all day, we want to show you some, is this really cool braiding. It's like a rope, and then it has gold metallic details on the outside.
I made a
Excuse me.
good friend of mine a wedding suit. We all went down to Jamaica, and he was the prince. So I put the epaulets on the shoulder, and I put the cording around, and I put some of this on the sleeve, and he looked real royal, and he stood there like he owned the world. He did that day.
And see, that's the really great thing about trims. They actually can transfer over. They kind of give your outfits a general feel, or they can make you have this feel. And this does very regal. So by adding this, and you hear that, men, you can actually add trim to your garments and actually change the look of them. Now, what are your tips for men on doing that?
Well, when you do that, it's like anything else. These are more or less a show type thing. You wouldn't take a garment and just put this type of applique on it and go to the office in it. But if you go into a special function, and then nowadays people have theme functions, so you could take your regular something and add it somewhere and kind of fall in with the function. But it's more of a, I'm going to a special occasion thing than your everyday wear. Unless you're an entertainer now.
No, there you go. You know, Michael Jackson's suits used to be
telling
really
you.
decked out. So anyhow, I encourage you, if you see really great trims, I tend to, sometimes I will grab between a yard or two, maybe use later. But for the most part, a lot of these are leftover from other projects. Take in your fabric, go to the store with an open mind. That's the biggest thing.
I like that.
When I went to Hancock's the other day and got the leather trim, I've been searching endlessly, trying to find something to match. Put it up together, and then there was just magic happened. So definitely, I encourage you, several pointers. Of course, use your artistic abilities. Trust your gut instinct.
Yeah.
Sometimes the artist, a lot of how we feel is very kind of inherent. It's intuitive, hard to kind of put a word or, kind of thoughts around. But if you like it, kind of go with it. It's not going to hurt. It's trim.
No.
And then get other people's opinions. My other suggestions for you include consider where you put it. Oftentimes you can't take certain trims and incorporate in the seam allowance because they're
No.
just too bulky. So, you know, get kind of accustomed to the notion of you might have to do a lot of hand sewing with some trims, or
Yeah.
you have to be a little bit strategic in your sewing. Also, clear threads work very well in incorporating trims also.
It does. It
So
does.
they can kind of hide any kind of stitching. So test, but experiment and have fun. And then, you know, of course, definitely get my course on how to simply and quickly add crystals. I promise you the methodology will just amaze you. Does not
It
take
really
as
will.
long. If you do it the old school way, it takes forever and a day. But I promise you my methods will just speed things right along for you. So with that being said, that was today's show. Before we close out, just a couple of announcements. Of course, I'm running a special on my course. I've been in business 10 years, so I'm giving a little bit of
10
discount.
years.
That's right. So I'm doing a nice little discount on that course. Plus you get a freebie, which is how to actually glue crystals on it as well. So definitely go to the link and you'll see my specials for that. The other thing is myfabricdesign.com is hosting a giveaway for our show.
It is.
They are, yes. So myfabricdesign.com is really great because they actually offer 26 different fabrics so you can get customized, which means you can either use one of their designs or you can upload your own and have it printed.
Wow.
Isn't it crazy technology we're in today?
It is. It is.
So we're offering that to someone, so we will give you the details on how to enter into that giveaway, and you know, in a couple of weeks we will reveal the winner. And Mr. Jim, is there anything else you want to say?
No, I'm just overwhelmed because, like I say,
The stuff
I've stayed away from a lot of these things only because it's not that I can't do them, but I'm amazed when I see what you have done and what other people have done, just adding trim, embellishing them, a few stones here, a few sequins, rope cording, braiding. I'm overwhelmed because I'm kind of old school where we didn't have a lot of flash and dash. Only people that wore things like this were like movie stars and whatnot back in my day. But now you see it every day, you see it everywhere. So you guys listen to what Miss Victoria has said. Don't be afraid. Experiment. I experimented on a small piece before you get too far into it to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. Don't go full throttle and go crazy.
So-
But, you know, get away from the ideas that everything has to match. I used to be really
Right.
bad about that
Yeah.
matchy-matchy. But anyway, lots of great tips out there. I'm sure you'll run across other tips on other people's blogs. But we hope you found today's information very helpful, and we've enjoyed sharing it with you.
Sure did.
So with that being said, we're going to close out our program. You know how we like to do it here. I believe that God's giving you great gifts, whether it's in sewing or anything else. Please don't let those gifts go to waste. The world needs them.
It
Go
does.
use them. And then with that being said, we're going to sign off.
Gentleman Jim the Tailor,
Victoria Baylor, Dressmaker. We will see you guys next week.
be looking.
Bye.
All right.